Good morning and welcome to another exciting day four with the man Frank Scalish. Day four, number 204, I believe. And Frank, we're just going to do a life update show because we've had a pretty good week between the two of us, mainly you.
Well, I think your week was better, actually.
No, I think your week was better.
Well, then we're on the same page.
All right, we both had good weeks. First of all, good to be back live. We had a recorded show last week. I was in Mexico competing in the Pan American Sport Fishing Federation Bass Championships on Lake Chichulo in China, Nueva Leon, Mexico.
Where, from what I see on all the posting, you guys plastered them.
We absolutely drilled them, but while I was there, and we will get into that in the second half of the show, news broke on May 30th. And we're going to kick the show off with this. And I'm just going to read the headline from cleveland.com. It's on all the news sources. The title is Ohio Bass Fishing Hall of Fame announces inaugural class of 10 inductees. There it is right there.
Uh-oh.
That's you. And then if you scroll down, it says the Ohio Bass Fishing Hall of Fame has unveiled its first ever class of inductees, honoring 10 individuals who have made significant contributions to the sport of bass fishing in the Buckeye State and beyond. The inaugural class includes Fred Arbogast, Homer Circle, Steve Clapper, Nick Cream, Glenn Lau, George Plosky, Frank Scalish Sr., Joe Thomas, Larry Williams, and Ron Yurko. On behalf of the board of directors of the Ohio Bass Fishing Hall of Fame, I congratulate the first class of inductees, said Jack Wolitz, chair of the nominating board. They all played a significant role in the development of bass fishing, not only in Ohio, but throughout the world, and represent the Buckeye State well in our long history of the sport. And then I will just read your induction paragraph. Frank Scalish, Sr. of Cleveland Heights, qualified twice for the Bassmaster Classic, was named the 2001-2002 Bassmaster Rookie of the Year, the 2009 Bassmaster Opens Angler of the Year, and is a well-known lure designer and wildlife illustrator.
Yep.
Congratulations, Frank. I guess I'm going to have to start introducing you as Hall of Famer Frank Scalish from now on.
No, you don't. You can introduce me as however the hell you do.
Well, I run. See all this stuff right here? Like, look.
I see what you do.
All that. You know what that means? That means I can do whatever I want. So if you wanted to object, I could go now. Object. Try to object. He can't object. See, you can't object. Now we are going to bring in Hall of Famer Frank Scalish.
And so now I can speak.
Now you can speak. See?
Why do I feel like I'm being punished?
I guess I shouldn't treat a Hall of Famer like that. I apologize. But no, that is that's badass, Frank.
Thank you. Yeah, so I got this thing. I got the plaque.
Oh, hold on. Let's go full screen on that.
All right, are we there?
Very nice.
I got the plaque. And then I got this crazy thing, which was signed by the governor.
What does that say?
Do I have
just
to
a
read
bunch
it?
of, I don't know. I mean, it looks like pretty small print, and it could
pretty
be in
small
like
print.
if it's one of those like, whereas Frank Scalish Sr. has served the community in a pescatorial efforts and an outstanding meritorious service award to better the community. Is it one of those?
It just says, as you are inducted into the Ohio Bass Fishing Hall of Fame on behalf of the state of Ohio, we congratulate you as you are inducted into the inaugural class of the Ohio Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. Your commitment and dedication to preserving the legacy of bass fishing in Ohio has made a positive difference for the sport in the state. We commend you upon receiving this tremendous recognition, and we extend our best wishes for continued success.
Clay brings up a good point. We need to have all of the BTL Day 4 listeners there when they unveil the statue of you at the Sandusky boat ramp.
That Sandusky boat ramp will get a statue of Steve Clapper, my man.
That's fair.
Me.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's not me. That's him. He'll be on that statue. It won't
Well,
be me.
you actually, what people don't know is there are actually 3 lakes in Ohio that have bronze full-size scale statues of Frank Scalish. However, Frank refuses to name any of the lakes, so no one knows where they are, nor have they seen them.
You have to be very careful in this state because our lakes are so small that any little thing that gets out could trash them. I mean,
Yeah.
just trash them.
So,
But yeah, so it was a cool thing. And then Fisherman Central, which is one of the largest tackle shops, independently owned tackle shops around here, they're going to display all of the guys' trophies and stuff. They have an area designated for the Hall of Famers, and so they're going to display all the trophies and all that stuff right in Fisherman Central, which is fabulous.
how did you find out what? Oh, there you guys. Did you have to go to a pomp and circumstance event?
No, somebody I know let the cat out of the bag a little bit early, and I wasn't supposed to say anything, but I wasn't actually in it. I was just on a list of guys that could be in it. And so I kind of knew this thing was going on, but to be very brutally honest, I didn't even know we had an Ohio Bass Hall of Fame. And I guess Jack Wallett's.
Well, this is the inaugural group.
Right. So he's an outdoor writer. Him and a bunch of guys, Ray Halter, Mark Hicks, a bunch of guys got together and they created this thing. And so now now it's for real. And then I made the cut, clearly.
The OG Day 4ers know what was up.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, so we might as well let the cat out of the bag. So after I knew I was on the list, I didn't know that I was voted in yet. Several weeks later, I got another phone call, and he said, "Hey, look, you're in. You made it. You're in." And I'm like, "Cool." Well, we did a show prior, probably 3 shows ago, Matt, maybe 4. 3 shows ago.
I'm trying to pull it up. It was show 199.
Yeah, so we kind of let the cat out of the bag in the morning and live, and unbeknownst to me, I got a phone call and said, "You can't run that. You cannot air that."
We had ran it. That was the problem. Here.
Yeah, we went live.
I found the audio. This is the audio from a little over a month ago. I'll just show a little bit of the clip where we both realized, oh crap, because it's pretty funny. Because only the live viewers saw it. Should I run it or should I not?
Nah, I don't.
Don't run it.
I don't think it'll play. I don't think it'll play.
Okay.
But so anyway, so we let the cat out of the bag, and then right after the show, right after the show, I got a call and says, "You guys can't run that."
Yeah.
So we had to cut it out for the recording.
It's the only thing we've ever edited on a day 4.
Right, 100%.
Ever in 204 shows.
Right, but we had zero choice in the matter. So yeah, so I kind of knew a little bit prior to actually getting inducted, and then it was at a United Way benefit tournament. They had a banquet and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool. It was nice to see some of the guys I grew up competing against when I was a boy, like George and Ron and Steve and stuff. Of course, Steve, I really met Steve when I started really competing hard. But George and Ron and Larry Williams, I was probably 16 years old, 17 when I started fishing against those guys.
Mm-hmm. Says here at the bottom, the Ohio Bass Fishing Hall of Fame was established to preserve the legacy of bass fishing in Ohio, honor champion anglers, and celebrate those who contributed to the growth of the sport. And you definitely hit on all of those bullet points, Frank.
Thanks, Matt. Thank you.
So do you get like free entry into tournaments now, or like a free pack of worms at Fisherman Central, or like what? There has to be some perks.
The perk of all of this is this show, the fan base, the fact that I can continue to work in this industry and pay my bills. That's really the perks of all this. There's a lot of deserving guys out there, and I was very happy to be, um, one of in the first group to be inaugurated. It means a lot to me. It's very humbling, um, you know. But yeah, so I mean, life is normal. Life is as usual. I
I
don't.
was hoping you'd get like a jet ski as a prize.
Oh God, I'd have to set it. I'd have to set it in a burst. I'd float it off the boat dock like a Viking funeral. It'd be in flames.
So that was what, 3-4 days ago. Today's the 5th. Have you been out on the water since the announcement?
Oh gosh, yeah. So I got really sick right after that event.
From partying?
No, Rach got sick. I got sick.
Oh.
Probably the cold I had was so bad it would have killed 10 ordinary men, but I survived. And I thought I'm going to be sick at home, hacking and gagging, so I might as well be sick in the boat fishing. And there's a lot of irony to this because I fished a couple of different lakes, couple of different bodies of water, and the irony of it is the show we did prior was a wind generated show.
Yeah, last week's show,
how to fish the wind, et cetera, et cetera. So I had gone to this lake and I had preconceived notions, and I'm cautioning everybody with preconceived notions because sometimes they put you in the right place and sometimes they put you way in the wrong place. And so I started fishing the first day and I had preconceived notions, and I got a little bit led astray because the first spot I pulled up on, I caught 4. And I'm like, oh, okay, they're out here already. This is good. And so I wound up, and the wind was honking. It was like 15 to 20. And I started fishing offshore, and I couldn't catch them. And I was losing my mind because right off the rip, I caught some. And I was losing my mind. And as the day progressed, I'm like, I got to throw a spinnerbait on some of these windy points and rock bars. And I went out and I started honking a spinnerbait. I was throwing a 1/2 ounce covert is what I was throwing. And I started mashing them. And the wind saved the day for me because I really screwed up most of the morning chasing a bite that really wasn't there. And then I went and played the wind and absolutely throttled them. So 2 days later, I go to a different lake, and they said it was going to be light and variable, but it was blowing sustained 15 plus. And I said, I'm not going to be fooled this time. I'm not going to be fooled. And so I started running windy banks that, I mean, the waves were crashing on them. And I started throwing the spinnerbait and a chatterbait. And in a matter of 4 hours, I had like 30. And then I was so sick, I had to leave. I couldn't stay out there anymore. And so I
savage.
So I went home, but it was unbelievable. The wind show we did prior was leave that up there for a second. The wind show that I did prior was so spot on the money. It saved my rear end, literally, because I was going down a different road, and thank God that was fresh in my head because it salvaged a couple of days of fishing for me. So do I run a trailer hook on my spinnerbait? I do not. The only time I do is when I'm burning spinnerbaits for smallmouth. That's the only time I run a trailer hook on a spinnerbait.
What about a trailer?
Oh yeah, I always put a trailer on my spinnerbaits. I use a split tail eel a lot because I like the profile. My rule of thumb is this: I use a split tail eel on my willow leaves or a minnow body. Anytime I'm throwing Colorados or Indianas.
How is a split tail eel, Frank?
All right, here we go. Here we
Maybe
go.
I'm the only one
You are.
that doesn't know what a split tail eel is.
You are. It's just a split
It's got to be
tail.
called something different.
It's not. It's just a split tail.
I'm like looking it up on LureNet here. I'm seeing nothing. Oh, that's what you call a split tail eel. Okay. That's fair.
So that's what I run on my willow leaves. That or like a forward facing sonar minnow.
Okay.
Something super streamlined. I want it real streamlined. If I'm throwing Colorados or Indianas, then I go to my paddle tail style stuff or a grub type trailer. I want a trailer that moves and here's the reason, because on my willow leaves, I'm generally fishing it a little bit quicker. And I want that fleeing bait fish imitator. On my Colorados and Indianas, I'm generally slow rolling it, floating it in the water. So I want a bulkier trailer to slow the fall rate down on the spinnerbait and to keep it in the water column where I could slow roll it. So that's, and I'll use like a pulse minnow, a Scottsboro minnow, grubs, 5-inch grubs, 4-inch grubs, trailers, because I want movement on those blades. But that's really the only thing I do with spinnerbaits. I mean, I don't think spinnerbait fishing is complicated. I think you have to have the right profile, the right color, and the right depth. And spinnerbaits can be effective pretty much year round.
So if you thought you caught him pretty good.
Yeah, I know. I can't wait to hear this story.
No, I'm going Vermilion Lake in the Classic Bass Champions Tour up in Minnesota. Did you hear about this?
I heard bits and pieces about it.
So they do this deal with the Real Live Will app, and it's like that some of the top guys in, like, Chad Grigsby fishes it, Brad Luthner, Rich Lindgren, bunch of guys fish it. I'm leaving out a bunch of really good guys. It's catchway release. They have like a person in the boat.
Okay.
And it's like as many as you can catch in a day. It's like a total weight deal. Right?
All right. Yeah.
So Vermilion went off. Hunter went, and I was doing well, you were talking a little bit of arithmetic. So he wins. This is one day total. 282 pounds, 5 ounces of bass in 8 hours. Let that sink in. 282 pounds in 8 hours. That's 127 fish that he caught. He averaged 2.25 pounds of fish, which means he caught 16 bass an hour. That's reeling them in, weighing them, releasing, recording, and run time, everything.
Yeah.
He averaged a fish every 3.75 minutes over the 8 hours. He averaged a 2.25 pounder every 3 3/4 minutes for 8 straight hours. And he only won by 21 pounds. Nathan Nipper had 134 bass for 261 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
Like, this is absolutely insane. So look at 10th. He caught, of course, I pick a guy with a last name. Jake Panici finished 10th. He had 168 pounds, caught 99 fish, and still caught 30 fish less than the winner and 120 pounds less than the winner.
Holy smokes, dude.
Let that every 3.75 minutes for 8 hours.
That is literally a cast of bass. That's literally
that includes catching it, weighing it, rigging your stuff back up, casting it back out, changing spots, moving. Every cast for 8 hours is basically what he did.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous.
I would love to know. I would love to know. I think if you have the Real Live Will app, you can actually see like the actual minute that he caught it and stuff like that.
Golly. Reminds me of my old journals that Troy and I used to keep.
There were
701, 705.
There were 6 anglers that caught over 100 bass in 8
Wow.
hours. It's easy to go out. Like, I don't know. Like, it's kind of like, well, how many days a year do you fish? I fish 200 days a year. No, you don't. Go look at the calendar. And by the time you take out holidays and like all that, like that would be every single day then, basically. If you say
Right.
200, like the guys who actually log 200 days are animals.
They're
I
guides.
mean, animals.
They're guides.
Yeah. And most of them have to do like family therapy.
Yeah,
Because you're
no
on the
kidding.
water. I mean, you have to live on the water.
Yeah, you do. You really do.
The guys who go out and say, man, I caught 100 today. Probably didn't catch 100 unless you actually have a clicker. Like 100 bass is impressive.
That's a fish cast practically.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
And
like
not a little one, a 2 1/4 pounder.
Right. And so you're not just skiing it over the top of the water and flipping it in the boat and chucking it back and making another throw. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, I've had some big fish days, and it just seems like you catch one every time you throw a lure out.
Mm-hmm.
It's insanity.
Now, when you're out fun fishing and you're having an epic day like this, and you're catching them on that, is that the time that you put all the rods up and you just focus on what's biting? Or are those the times where you go, okay, there's some techniques that I need to work on or that I'm not confident with, and even though you know I can catch them on this, you go to things that you don't have confidence in because you are in a learning window? Because I struggle with that.
Yes. So that's a great point, because I do that. As long as the depth range and the lure application that you want to perfect works, because a lot of times that is usually not the case. When you're dialed in like that, now those guys were clearly fishing the spawn. But as long as you're dialed in like that, that means everything you're doing is right. And so a change from that could lead to not getting the bites anymore. The weird thing is, the other day when I was out, I was focusing on wind banks, and the wind banks had to have hard bottom and rock on them, which was equivalent to the show prior to the wind show. Had to have hard bottom and rock on them, and the key factor was they were on the grass edge, but they weren't on the outside; they were on the inside. And so I had to parallel. So in the morning, I caught 4 or 5 flipping. That clued me into where they were in relationship to the grass on the inside edge. But I had to get my boat on the inside edge and parallel the bank to catch them. I couldn't do it casting at an angle or perpendicular to the bank. I had to be parallel. And so consequently, it ruled out damn near every presentation I had except for the chatterbait and the spinnerbait. Because it was the only thing that I can fish that effectively with that kind of wind. When I threw swim baits and stuff, it was so windy that I would get the wind bow in my line, and it would pull the bait to the bank. It wasn't, because it was like at an angle, you know what I mean, coming in. So I couldn't fish it effectively. So I had no choice, and that turned out to be a 3-rod day. I had a flipping stick of chatterbait and a covert spinnerbait. That was the day. It just gave me that, that's what it gave me. Even though I did try other things, because I try to always get the biggest bites I can. Now the fish I was catching weren't terrible. I would have been happy with that, but I always try to get the biggest bites I can, but it just wasn't giving it to me. Most of the bass I caught were between 2 and 3 pounders. I couldn't catch 4s and 5s. And that's because the spawn is over. Those fish were moving out. The smaller fish were still in. And I had to take what was given to me, predicated on A, how I was feeling, B, I didn't even get out there till 10:30, because I wasn't even going to go. And so I maximized the 4 hours I spent on the water, and all I wanted to do is go hammer on some bass. So that's what I did.
Frankie doesn't have any faith in you there.
Yeah, he knows.
He 5 there, pops.
Yeah, he knows where I was at. That's why he says that.
Here, we got into a lot of other stuff, but man, there's been some good fishing questions, and that's what this show is about. I have also dealt with this too. Chuck Smith says, Frank, how do you deal with the cottonwood bloom? It's really bad where he is, and braid is useless for us there. That is the bane of my existence when the cottonwood blooms and you get those little white toilet paper wads in your
Hate 'em.
reel and on your line and in your guides. Do you have any tricks for that, Frank?
Well, I don't have tricks about keeping them off your line, but the best way to get them off your line is to flick your line. Um, you tighten up the line and you flick it, and it puffs it up and falls off your line. If you start pulling on them, they
Like
all
a
get,
bow and arrow.
yeah. If you start
Okay.
pulling on them, they all get congealed around the line. Then you got to pick them out, and that is an absolute lesson in patience. And I freaking hate them. There was rafts of that cottonseed floating around, and every now and then I'd make a cast and that bait would land right on top of it, and I'd be like, gosh darn it, and I'd reel it in and it would be like I was reeling in a white rag. You just got to deal with it. I mean, it sucks, but you just got to.
Yeah. For those who don't know, it's like the seed, but it's like a very fibrous seed. I'm assuming the white fluffy stuff is what carries the seed on the
Yes.
winds. But when it gets wet, it becomes very fibrous, and then it basically knots up in your line.
Oh
Makes
yeah,
it impossible to throw, gets in your guides, gets especially in the seat of your reel, like where the level wind is.
right, right. And good luck if you have micro guides on a fishing rod.
Yeah. I
Good
call it
luck
the
with them. Good
snow and
luck with
shoe.
them. Yeah, good luck with the micro guide thing.
Do you want to bring up everybody before we get into the second half of the show? Father's Day is coming up. LureNet is running a 40% off select items on Father's Day through June 15th, including
Yeah,
a couple really cool bandits here that are in stock currently. So
yeah, the bone crawdad bandits are in stock, which are nice. They're very nice, and they're both in the 200s and the 100s.
yeah, I know
Which
we've
is
talked about that on the show.
which is good.
$539 for those.
You know what I want you to do? Go to the bar. Go to the bar and look at the Ghost Bone series mobster swim jigs, because I
Yep,
got
they're
my
still going. You got
dude,
yours in finally?
oh my god, and they are nice. They
Okay.
are nice. Um yeah, and they got them in all the sizes and everything. So I wound up getting a lot of the chartreuse and bone. I wound up getting a lot of um Smoky Joe bone, and I wound up
Mhm.
getting the pink bone.
What's a number, Frank? So like I feel like the northern guys may have to go through a few more with pike and muskie or
Oh yeah.
dogfish on it. But like for a guy like me in Oklahoma, I got water willow. If it eats it, it's gonna be a bass.
Yeah.
Like 3, 2, 3. Like I mean, you don't really lose swim jigs.
No, I get the minimum I carry with me is 6 of each that I want.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Well, for me up here, northern pike will take 50% of them. You'll make a cast, you'll be humping it back, and you'll get the swirl, and you go to set the hook, and you have nothing. The pike will destroy the stuff, and so you got to have a lot of them. But the other reason that I carry them with me is because if you're having a day on them, the skirts can be pulled off and get demolished. And so I want to be ready. So I'll have a couple set up, untied on, and if something goes awry, then I just cut the one off, or if it's a break off or a bite off, then I just tie another one on.
Okay.
Because when that swim jig bite is on, it's on, and I mean it is on. So yeah,
I see this. So the body bag color, which is black and red down there, is $2.99 on the Father's Day special. When do
yeah.
you go? I know. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I just drew a blank. He runs lacrosse. He's the swim jig king of the Mississippi River.
My buddy Kurt.
No, he's won like everything on the Mississippi River. Help me out here. He throws a 5/16 or a quarter ounce black swim jig all the time.
Yeah, I go. I don't know who you're talking about, but I go black and blue and black and red when the water is slightly off
Yeah, Tom
color.
Mansour. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, when the water is slightly off color, but black and blue surprises me in clean water too.
Okay, so you're not
I-
afraid to go black and blue
no,
either,
God no.
or black and red.
No, black and blue saved my rear end about a month ago.
Okay, and then arsonist also in the 5/16, $2.99.
Yeah, I actually, yeah, arsonist is good.
What is that? A little sneaky color?
No, I actually pulled some of those arsonist skirts off and put them on a chatterbait this ice out.
Oh, sneaky.
Yeah, I put them on the chatterbait with the arsonist pulse minnow trailer at ice
Sneaky.
out, and it was sneaky.
That's that color right there.
Yeah, they were not afraid of it. Let's put it that way.
Huh.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
We'll work in reverse then. So I made you exceptionally jealous before the show started by sharing this picture with you.
Yeah,
You can't even repeat what you said when I showed it to you.
I can't repeat it. It's not.
So this was 2 nights ago. I'm still recovering. We were out till 4 a.m. doing this with Todd Seisner from In Fisherman, Steve Bowman, who's a 2020 class of the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame there in Missouri, and his college buddy Tim Friel, who he grew up with. And they're now in their like 50s, but you can still tell they're college buddies when they get together. We bought this donated to the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame for this trip, and it was a Southwest Arkansas frog hunting experience.
Yeah,
I get in the boat with these guys at like 9:30, 10 at night, and I've known Steve for forever, and Tim real easy to get along with. And I said, so like, guys, I said, is there like a KVD of frog hunting around here or something? Because it's like a big kind of cultural thing down there. And Bowman goes, you're in the damn boat with them. I mean, dude, these are like frog hunting legends. So like, look at this. I'll post this on Instagram later.
There you go. Oh my God.
29 jumbo bullfrogs. My first time ever like actually going out and hunting for them. Most of the time, there we go. Most of the time, it's just like 1 or 2 at the pond where you hook them on the bass jig and then you keep them for the legs. But this was the whole shebang. Flat bottom boat in this like 8-mile private kind of bayou. Everywhere there's red gator eyes, a lot of water willow and coontail with big cypress knees, and then boom, you'll see the white belly, and he goes in hot. You've got the bar light on the front. You're like leaned over the front of the boat, and then boom, you snatch it.
That is outstanding.
It is a top 10 experience trip. If any of you guys have a chance to go do that, I highly recommend it. Like, look, here it is right here. Like, look at this.
Keep it there. That is amazing.
Dude, it was so much fun.
That is so good.
And have you ever done that?
No, I have not gone out at night gigging them or grabbing them, but I made flies. I made little damsel flies with hooks in them. And right now, I hate you more than you know.
Oh my gosh. I made frog leg
damsel flies, and then we go out and dangle them in front of the frogs in the daylight, and they eat them, and you hook them and put them in the bucket. Yeah, dude, I'm so jealous right now.
I mean, so tender.
Yeah, and thanks for eating them in front of me.
Keep talking.
You're supposed to share, Matt. You know that? You're supposed to share. And you're not. And that's sad.
So here's the deal. I think you think I'm rubbing it in, but I think the limit was like 15 frogs a piece or something like that.
Which is
we were a couple short of our limit, but we only ate half of them, and I vacuum packed the rest. So the next time you're in Oklahoma,
oh, there you go.
We'll thaw out a pack of the frog legs because Juice came over from Juice's Jigs, and he fancies himself a chef, so he also did. So if you notice, that one was fried. So look at the texture on that. That is smoked on the Traeger for 30 minutes. And then I finally have the Blackstone up and going, completely seasoned everything. So then blackened, smoked and blackened on the Blackstone.
That is money.
Just a completely different experience. Just as flavorful, but much richer. I mean, this is top notch frog legs right here.
Yeah, that's money. That's money. Yeah, so speaking about cooking, so I tweaked my crappie recipe out a couple months ago. Because I was watching the cooking channel, and I watch cooking competitions all the time. I'm kind of addicted to them. And so I was watching the cooking channel, and they were doing fish, and one of the chefs said, I got to keep this crispy, because they knew it was going to sit before the judges ate it. And so he's added white rice flour to the mixture.
I'd never heard of that.
Yes. And so it took me a minute to get my quantities right. So what I wound up doing is to make my dredge, which I do a dry dredge on crappie. So to make my dredge, I did a full cup of white rice flour, a half a cup of all-purpose flour, and a half a cup of Bisquick. That's my breading. And then I add cayenne pepper, ground black pepper, salt, and a little bit of thyme. And yeah, that's exactly what I use right there.
Bob's Red Mill organic stone ground white rice flour.
Yes. And so then I soak the crappie fillets in cold water. I lift them out of the cold water and throw them in my dry dredge and shake them up and then fry them. And oh my God, dude, they're light. It's not like a heavy starchy breading.
It doesn't absorb the oil on it to where you feel like you're like, oh, after you've eaten a couple fillets.
Right. It's super light, and it is crunchy as could be, and it is perfectly golden brown. I mean, they look like something, in a Bon Appetit magazine.
I sense another In the Kitchen with Uncle Frank episode. That was one of the most viewed episodes, is when you were in the kitchen and we did crappie fillets. Yeah,
I mean, it was, but now I changed it, because holy smokes, man, this is the real deal.
I gotta put these over here. I want to eat the rest of them.
Yeah, I'm starving to death, and I'm watching you eat those, and I'm salivating like.
You know what else I have in there? I have a whole Ziploc bag full of flathead catfish belly chunks.
Oh, man,
the redneckery is top notch in Shawnee, Oklahoma right now.
That is fabulous. That is fabulous. So speaking of top notch in Oklahoma.
Oh, that's it.
You got to talk about Mexico, bro.
That was a great transition, Frank. I'm proud of you.
After 200 and something shows, you hope the half a brain I got left works.
Yeah. I called and told you this. I've talked a little bit about it on the show. I think we'll have Scott on, and Andrew Cifuentes, Josh Weaver, JT Kenny, Trey McKinney, a bunch of the guys that were on the team. There were 10 guys on the team, but I got the call like 2-3 weeks before. I was telling you, like, hey, I'm going to Mexico, I'm doing something. I didn't really know. So like I said, I have to look at the trophy. That's nice when you have to say that. The Pan American Sport Fishing Federation Bass Championships, and they do like world championships, then they do the Pan Am games, and it travels between like 8 or 10 different countries. So it was in Mexico, and it was in Mexico. And Andrew Upshaw called, and he's like, hey, you're going to be my teammate. You have to bring your boat and truck down, which at the time I was just like, fish for USA Bass, which if you've watched any of the stuff online with it, Jacob Wheeler, Dustin Connell fish for that, all those. I mean, you're representing your country.
Right.
And I mean, dude, guys like me and you, with where we are, don't get a chance to go represent our country, the USA, in a foreign country ever.
No, it just doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. So, I was with Court, and she's she's always nervous when I do these trips, understandably so. I mean, I'd be nervous if she was like, I know she flies to other countries sometimes as a flight attendant, and I'm always like, let me know, make sure all this,
Right. Call when you get there. Call when you land.
And she's like, I was like, what do you think? It's about 2.5 hours south of the border in Mexico. We crossed between like Laredo and Falcon. We ended up crossing south of Falcon because they tried to charge us like $50 for each rod and reel combo in every boat.
Oh my God.
So she's like, you got to do it. She's like, 100% you're in, you got to do it. And I was like, you sure? Like, I knew I wanted to. And she's like, yeah, I'm 100% behind this. You're representing the country. And, I drive down there. Andrew flies in. So there's like 5 of us crossing the border. We cross about an hour, 40 minutes south of Falcon, which, right now on Falcon, they're kind of like, hey, like, Falcon's going good. Matt Reed's catching 30-pound bags, but it's also like, hey, like, spend most of your time on the US side right now at Falcon, right?
Yeah.
So it dawns on me as we pass Falcon that we're going an hour further south of Falcon, and then we're going 2.5 hours into Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
While guys aren't going over the border on the lake.
Right.
So
and
like,
you guys are, and it's not like you're incognito. You're caravanning bass boats down there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like not just any bass boats. It's like the battle wagon of Scott Martin that's all, jacked up. And Trey McKinney has an F350. I've got that Black 25. Like, they're big trucks and everyone,
right.
Nice boats.
Which I understand over there. They're in high demand.
But you kind of get to the point of no return. So it's a little bit chaotic. We have to change border crossings. I've got everything dialed in, and I have not had any issues with my boat trailer ever on a Bass Cat. Like either like, oh, the trailer messed up, or I did something that made the trailer not 100%. They are like made by Bass Cat at the factory, rock solid trailers. Like, that's the one thing. Bass Cat trailers are money. And so we end up at this road, and then there's nowhere to go. So like, we're freaking going. Like, we're going into Mexico.
Oh,
and I had spent hundreds of dollars and hours. If I'm going too much in depth on this.
No, dude, go.
I had to get like, it's called Chubb, like Mexican insurance coverage on the truck for 5 days, which was a lot of money because you have to have a certain liability and then coverage on that. And I changed insurance. Oh, I got to cancel the other one. I changed insurance carriers for the boat to make sure I had coverage on that. Bass Cat bent over backwards to make sure I have the documentation for the boat and the motor and the trailer and the truck and all the insurances and visas and passport, all sorts of crap. Hours and hours and days. And I didn't have that time. So we go through, they take the cover off, and Mexican authorities are looking through everything. They literally unpack every piece of luggage out of Scott's truck. It takes 20 minutes just for him to go 10 feet. But in the line, like, there were 3 of our boats, and then a couple little cars like cut me off and squeezed in between me. So it went boat, civilian car, me. Well, I didn't realize this, but when the boats went through, they had this big yellow metal post, and you go through the lane, and and now you're in Mexico, and it's chaos because it's it's like, street vendors, and it's like you're in a little town.
Yeah.
But this post, you could like pull it out of the cement, and that's how the guys were getting their boats and trailers through. So the guy who was checking everybody pulled that post out, and all the other boats went through, and then he saw the cars, so he puts the damn post back in the ground. So I go through and don't think anything of it, and he goes, pull ahead, and it's kind of chaotic. So I go to pull ahead, and I hang my freaking trailer on that post, and I hit it perfect in between the first and the second axle.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm going, and all of a sudden I just stop, and I hear in Spanish, whoa, all this. I have now made it 10 feet into Mexico, and I look back, and I have completely scuffed the fiberglass on the side of my trailer. And I am not happy about it. So I back up, and I pull forward, and then we have to go through immigration. So they're like, park your truck. And I look in my rear view mirror, and I've got one wheel facing this way and one wheel facing this way.
Oh, geez. Oh, man.
And I had completely torqued the axle and spindle on the first axle. So I've towed hundreds of thousands of miles from coast to coast and across Canada, and I literally make it 10 feet into Mexico, and I am screwed. So
What? Did anyone have an extra
so
spindle?
it gets better. So I end up having to go and I park it. Well, we're parking it in this dude's like auto body shop, which he comes out and then hustles us out of $10 American just to park the truck and trailer there. We're like, holy crap, this is bad. So I get my impact wrench. I've got all that stuff. We pop it off. Yeah, we're screwed. So fortunately, Mark, who kind of runs the Team USA org, he goes, my dealer gave me a spare spindle.
Oh, my God. Are you lucky?
But here's the thing. This thing was torqued like on, so we couldn't get it off. And we're in right across the border. We got people coming up to us, like a lady comes up with like food. You have to give her a couple bucks. Guy pulls up in a cart with like mangoes and seasoned mangoes. So you got to give him a couple bucks. It's
right.
I still haven't gone through. Anyway, the immigration stuff took 6 hours to get our team with 5 people through. The truck was too big to go into Mexico. So all of us had to unhook, drive around for them to take pictures of the truck. And then they put a bounty on the truck that you don't get back till you come back through Mexico to make sure you don't go in and sell it. So at one point, I'm across the Mexican border south of Falcon with my boat jacked up in a sketchy auto body thing in Mexico with 3 wheels on it, all the tools out, and a jacked up axle, while my truck is 500 yards away getting pictures taken of it by Mexican authorities.
Unbelievable.
So
it was
like at that point, you're just like, all right, I'm along for the ride. It's going to be a hell of a story. So what we end up doing is the Canadian guys were there. I can't remember his name. He's a badass dude, big. He towed a single axle trailer 38 hours from Canada down to Mexico, but he had a bunch of tools, couldn't get it off with a hammer because it was welded on. So we've got a police escort and we end up getting to the lake, which is phenomenal. The town is phenomenal. China, they did a great job of making sure everything was safe. We'd go to taco stands there, but the whole way there, I'm rolling 3 tires and it's Mexico, so it's not exactly ideal highways. A lot of it's good, a lot of it's bad. But I mean, every time I look back, that tire looks like it's about to pop. But I get there. Long story short, at the end of the week, we got the tire, changed. So,
and so now you're sporting all 4.
Yeah, but it wasn't until it wasn't until the end of it wasn't until the end of it. I want to make sure I got his last name. So Dale Black, who runs Gamma Fishing Line.
Okay.
He's like a part-time mechanic. Like in his spare time, he knew it. So he knew how to put that spindle back on, bleed the brake lines, the whole 9 yards. And we're out after we've won double gold and all this at midnight in the parking lot of our Mexican resort with a hammer borrowed from Canada and an anchor that I had in the boat. So I was legal on the Great Lakes, just trying to pound this spindle off of the axle. And he, he's probably 50 years old, older. He was on his back after cervezas at the ceremony and got me up and going so I could roll 4 wheels home. So big shout out to Dale Black, Mark Schlarb for having the spindle, the Canadian guys for help hooking it up with stuff.
Hey, and shout out to Team America because you guys plowed them.
Yeah. No, it was good. I don't know. I'm just trying to get everything back in order now, but the lake was cool. So when I got that call, I was like, man, I don't know why I got that call. It kind of, like I said, it was kind of a last minute deal. I said that in the post. Upshaw was like, you can fish with me. Talked to Scott Martin about it. He's like, we want you on the team. I mean, I was obviously not the first option for that, just with as many guys that have been on Team America, but you take into account that you've got the BPT going on. You had NPFL that was there that week, like just in order to make it. Upshaw and Canterbury, who won that event, had to fly into Laredo. And then there's just a bunch of guys that couldn't, and a guy canceled, and they said, do you want in? And I said, yeah. So that's how I ended up on the team. But if you remember when I went down to El Salto with Pro Bass Adventures, they have the LVS 34s down there. And I was the only guy who had ever big minnowed 6, 7, 8-inch minnow on El Salto. And I was looking at that lake. They'd fished it 6 years ago with Team USA. And I'm like, dude, that's going to play. So I told Andrew right away, I was like, dude, I think this is going to play. And sure enough, it was, no nets down there. They're trying to actually turn it into a destination trophy bass fishery. Typically, you're not allowed to keep them. The tournaments that are down there, you can only keep one over 20 inches. There's all sorts of like Mexican DNR. Like you couldn't barely even hold your fish up to take pictures of it. So they're trying to turn it, into a destination, like which it's about 20,000 acres. It's phenomenal. But, we got out there the first day, and Andrew had done a lot of map work, and he had a Humminbird map that showed the lake when it was like 14 foot lower than it currently was. And he had gone through and marked everywhere where there was like little rocks sticking up. And we knew that was in like 15 foot. So it took us about a day and a half to figure out that like all the rock, we'd go to some and not catch much. Then we go catch like an 8-pounder off of one. But if it was adjacent to the channel or adjacent to a deep drop, those post-spawn fish were sitting on that rock. They hadn't made it offshore. And I told him this, Frank. I told him this on the water. I said, dude, on day 4 with Frank, these fish down here spawn differently. They start in like December and they go through May or June.
Correct.
Kind of Florida style.
Yeah.
But the post-spawn fish stay connected to the bank.
100%.
Because there were rock piles offshore where you could catch a pile of 2s and 3s, but the biggest we ever caught out of it was a 5-pounder. Every single giant that we caught was adjacent to a spawning flat with a point or a rock ridge that had a rock pile on the tip of it that dumped off into 25 or 30 water, and they were 4 feet of water, and they were all attached to the bank. And that was 100% a day 4 show that you did when locating post-spawn offshore largemouth.
Dude, that is so cool. That makes me happy right there.
The other cool thing, and you've scoped with me, you've seen the floaters, you've seen the fish on the bottom. And when we were there with some of the best live scopers in the world. JT Tompkins, Trey McKinney, Joey Cifuentes, they've won combined millions of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
Joshua Weaver. And Scott. I mean, Scott was like the OG live scoper. But one of the things, and it was kind of luck, but also because, I fish with Austin Cranford a lot here in Oklahoma, and he had a 43-pound bag this year out of a lake in Oklahoma, and I only had 3 that day. And it really chapped my ass that he caught 20 fish over 6 and was culling 7s, and I couldn't catch a limit. So I spent a lot of time with him in the boat afterwards, and they're fish on the bottom that you cannot see on live scope.
Yeah.
So you have to fish for them, but you have to identify what the bottom is, and they are belly on the bottom. You might see a little bit of blip. And that was the same way at El Salto. So Andrew and I get out there. He's identified all these areas. I let him run the boat 98% of the time because he had a game plan, but he had never big minnowed either. And I was like, this is my jam. Perfect teamwork. That's how teamwork works. And we get to one and cast, and I'm like working it, and like 1 rises off the bottom, and then 2 rise off the bottom, and then 3 rise off the bottom, and then it just gets heavy. And it was like a 9-4. And we just ran that all practice. And by the end, we had about a dozen spots that we felt comfortable we could pull up and catch one between 7 and 10 at any given time.
Oh my gosh. Dude.
So the first day we were kind of, So what Andrew would do is He would look at that map with the point. We were able to have a map that just showed the creek channels, Lowrance map, a Navionics map, but it had no contours. It just showed the creek channels. So then we cross-referenced his Humminbird with where the creek channel showed on the Lowrance. So he would have his phone in his hand. We would have the map up here, and then he'd be looking at aerial stuff 3 and 1 as we idled. You'd see the rock come up, boom, we'd drop a waypoint, we'd go down, then we'd come back and we'd fish it. So there was, we found every single thing that we fished during the 3 days of practice by idling, going back and catching it. And the first day was so nerve-wracking. So this is not a big deal in the United States. It's a big deal to the other countries, though. There's hundreds of people there. They're sending the best guys from their country. You're talking Colombia, Dominican Republic, Canada, Mexico, South Africa. There's this it's not a province, it's in Ontario, but like Turtle Island, which is like a tribe up there. It was awesome. They have this like Indian anthem where it's like, oh yeah, and they're like super cool dudes. Like sat there and played the guitar one night with them. I didn't play, I listened. But dude, it's cool to watch like them look at the big name pros, like a Scott Martin or JT or a Trey or Cifuentes, Weaver, and they're like, dude, like they watch them all, they know them all, they're sending their best from the country, and like that vibe hit on the first morning. So like there's all sorts of videos and stuff that'll come out of it. I don't get nervous with tournaments anymore. I was freaking nervous as hell on that first morning.
Oh, I could imagine.
Like we'd been catching 30 to 40 pounds every day of practice. We cannot drop a team because USA brought 5 teams and they have your best 5 scores. I'm talking too much here, Frank.
No, you're good, man. I want to know.
So they take your best 5 scores, and we brought 5 teams. So you could not drop a score. So if one of the teams sucked, that's an anchor. Yeah, that's an anchor around the neck. Like you're toast. So we worked really well together, like incredibly well together at the night. We'd go over maps and things like that. Like Andrew and I were really dialed in. So like Scott Canterbury jumped in my boat. He jumped in Scott Martin's boat. One time Josh Weaver jumped in my boat while he jumped in with Joey Cifuentes. Then like Scott jumped in Trey's boat and JT. And then JT ended up fishing with Mark, and then Trey ended up fishing with Dale. So there's all sorts of like puzzle pieces that are moving because everyone has to catch them. And that first morning we get out there, and Scott has one of his camera guys with me. I'm wearing a damn chesty. Andrew's running 2 cameras for the Let's Fish TV show that he's going to do on it. And I'm like, I've got like, I don't wear a jersey. I've got the Team USA hat on, the USA jersey. Mm-hmm. All these other countries are there. And I'm like, damn, we're like representing USA fishing on this. It was cool. I was so nervous. I did not enjoy the first day because it was a grind. Fortunately, I caught one almost 9 with a couple hours left. That I caught Andrew caught like a 7. I had a 6. We caught it like an 8.5, 9 later in the day. But at the end of the day, Andrew was like, dude, you like did not talk during the day. And I talk a lot. And I was like, yeah, dude, I was about to like throw up most of the day. I was like such a relief. And then, so like we were in third, JT had 36. Scott had 35. Trey had 29. We had 30. Cifuentes and Weaver had 24, 25. The second day, dream day. Dream day.
Were you calmer the second day?
Yeah, I was much calmer. We started out, we caught a 6 and a 7 in the first couple hours, filled the limit out with 4s. Then we did this thing where you can weigh your fish because they're very careful about fish care there. So we went in at 11 and we weighed the 6.5 and the 7, right?
Right.
So then we had 3 4-pounders in the live well, and it was 11. We kind of knew bait because you can call during the day. So the first day, this is the other thing. Scott called and he's like, we just caught a 9. We've got 7. We've got 28. This is less than an hour in. We've got 28 pounds. Then Trey would be like, I just caught an 8. I've got 27 pounds. And then JT's like, I got 32. And we're sitting on like 3 for 11. And it's like totally screwing with our heads because we were the ones who were just smashing them in practice.
Right.
Anyway, the second day it starts out, we catch a 6, we catch a 7, we fill it out with 4s. It's still slow. We know it's a tougher bite, but we've got those 2. So we weigh them in. It was like 2 for 13.75.
Okay.
We've got 3 4-pounders, and Andrew looks at me and he's like, all right, our goal is to cull out one of these 4-pounders with a 6, and we've done our job. We've done like 30 a day, right? That's all you can ask for the kind of team that was the last guys on the team. So we go to the first spot, deep rock, and Andrew goes, hey, let's slide out a little further and see if we're missing anything. And sure enough, there's another little rock drop from 25 to 30. One comes up, sucks it in. It's a 6-12. So that culls one of the 4. And then we had this spot that I caught a 9.5 in practice off of. It was like a tree that had some big ones on it. We had an hour left. We're like, let's go. Andrew's like, I want to go back to that tree. And I was like, okay, works for me. So we go to the tree. There's big ones on the tree. They follow it. And I end up actually going kind of past the tree, and he's re-rigging his bait. And I see this mark on the bottom way out there, and I fire my minnow out. It gets all the way down. And I like work it, and it like comes off the bottom like it wants to eat it, but it doesn't. And I said, no, you can't cull those 2 once they're weighed in. So we had a 6 and a 7. So then we had a 6.5 and 2 4s, and I see this thing come off. And I said, dude, that fish looked active, because like 1 out of 20 would respond to it. I said, that was the biggest one we've seen all day. And Andrew stands back up front, and I said, look, there it is right there. You can kind of see it on the bottom. And I cast the minnow out. I'm like, dude, get it down there. And I pump it one time, and it's just heavy. And I reel into it, and just this beast that looks like myself. Like if this is the screen right here, this is what you could see. And I reel into it, and it goes, and it was on.
Oh,
and
man.
I fought it for a minute, just peel and drag, and it was a 10-4.
Oh my gosh.
So that called out one of the other 4s. So we go nuts after that. So now we've got a 6 and a 10-4 in there, and a 4-pounder. And then like 15 minutes later, I cast to a little rock deal in the same area. Can't see any fish, start working it. And one just shoots up and grabs it. And it's just, zzz, and it was a 7.
Oh my God.
So we had like a 6, a 7, another 6, a 10, and a 7.
Holy
and we went in and we had 30, almost 37 pounds on the second day, and ended up winning first place gold and big bass. And USA finished first, second, third, fourth, fifth, won the overall by 70 pounds. We clean swept everything. The only other person that got a trophy was Mexico, caught a 9-pounder on the first day to win big bass on the first day. And that was it. Other than that, every single one was, I got the 2 gold medals there for the team and for the nation. I got the big bass. Andrew's got the other trophy for first, because they only gave us 1 for each, and we'll just switch every year. And we went back and celebrated.
Yeah, that's badass, dude.
Yeah. But it was like super teamwork effort. Like I wouldn't have found those spots without Andrew. And I'm comfortable in saying Andrew would have caught some, but he wouldn't have caught them the way he caught them without me and the big minnow.
Right.
All the other guys added elements in as far as what they were doing. Like we caught a couple, we ended up weighing any, but there were guys that were catching them, out of bushes, scoping big balls in the middle of bushes, stroking a jig through it. We caught a couple 5-pounders that helped with that.
Wow.
So we had 60. What did we have? We had 67.55 for a 2-day total, 30.95 on day 1 and 36.63. We made Bass Fan. There it is. There's Andrew and I right there on the podium.
That's money, dude.
So
that's cool. That is super cool.
Yeah, so it'll be out on Scott Martin's YouTube channel. I would assume, I don't know why, when, within the next couple months, but Andrew Upshaw documented it for the Let's Fish TV, which is on Bally Sports Network nationwide. It'll also be out on YouTube. Then that airs in a couple weeks. They're working on the show there. Day 1 will be a show. Day 2 will be a show. The only thing I'm a little upset about is I kind of freaked out when I caught the 10-4. We both kind of did. Like Andrew air humped the net a couple times, and then I have my hands on my head and I'm going, oh my gosh. Oh, and my voice went like way higher than I would have liked it to. And then I didn't realize it, but like, even though I was off camera, you can still hear me. Like I sound like a grackle. I'm going, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Like I wish I had just been like, oh yeah, that's a nice 10, and dumped it in the box. But like, we kind of went nuts.
What are you going to do, man? I mean,
I told you what I would hope to have done. Like the first day when I caught the 8, I was like, thank God. And that was it. Like, that's all I said. The second day, like all of the emotion and stress of the whole week and everything like came out as soon as that fish hit the net.
Yeah, because dude, that took the pressure off at that moment in time. You knew that the pressure was off. You know what
Yeah,
I
no,
mean?
Chris and Corey weren't able to go. Coop had some issues, I think, with his visa or something like that to go down there. But yeah, Canada didn't have like, Gussie, the John, like they weren't there. I think they fish like World some too. It just kind of depends. But
Yeah, that's wild.
I think there were 54, 56 teams, something like that.
Yeah, 5-man teams or more.
2-man teams.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so they gave us like a complimentary bottle of tequila that we all passed around at the opening ceremonies.
Yeah, that's dangerous. Their tequila's dangerous, dude.
Yeah, there was some BTO swag. A lot of the Canadian guys actually listen to BTO, which was fantastic.
It's super cool.
Listen to day 4.
Yeah,
James Fishy said, cool. I was there with Canada rocking my BTL shirt. But no, it couldn't have gone. And then all the other teams ended up catching them too. I mean, it was one of those things where we kind of got back on the second day and looked at each other and we're like, dang, that was badass.
Well, yeah, dude. Sounds like there was a shit ton of fish caught too.
Yep. But we only had 5 big ones on the second day. Like cast to probably 50 to 100 on prime areas where we knew they were, and had 5 big bites. And it took us from 6 in the morning until 1:45 in the afternoon to get those 5. But it's one of those things where we knew we were doing the right thing with the right bait in the right place. And every single day we had a 30+ pound bag, including 2 days over 40. And it was like, this is one of those things where you just have to be patient and let it happen instead of force it.
Right. And here's the thing. And this is what I say all the time, especially to Frankie. You only need 5.
Yep.
And so that's all you got to worry about is 5. And you clearly you upgraded the size. So you only needed 5 of those. You know what I mean? And that's the important part in a tournament. You don't have to catch 50 in a tournament. You got to catch 5 of the right ones.
I'll show you why. So like these were some of the practice bass, right? So I'll show a couple of the practice bass, and then I'll show what the 10. So I mean, like,
there you go.
Like that was one in practice. Sometimes we had to wear our jerseys a little bit. There's another one from practice.
Nope. There you go.
I mean, those are
tags.
Nice.
Those are nice.
And then this was, so they let us hold our 2 biggest on day 1 when we had the 30 rack. So like those are our 2 biggest on day 1. And then this was this was the one where we went nuts. This was the 10.
God, man, that's a stud.
But like, dude, like doing that with the USA jersey on, I mean, there's like a 0. I mean, unless for some reason I learn how to fish in the opens all of a sudden and start crushing it and become a top angler in America, like that was probably like a one and done.
Dude, that you can't complain about that.
Yeah, no, we caught maybe, I don't think we weighed in a fish that was off of a tree. It was all rock and all of them were on the bottom. We didn't weigh in a single. Some of the guys on the teams caught 7-8 pounders out of trees, but all of ours was on rock on the bottom.
Yeah, dude, that is fabulous, man. That's like insanity. I would love to do that with you. Just go out and big minnow on them.
You've got an open invite to El Salto. But
yeah, that's
we can go down. We can do it a lot of other places.
Yeah, that's my biggest weakness. Right.
What I'm interested in is, I'm afraid we may have unlocked that.
Yeah, probably.
Because there's a couple guys who know how to catch them that were on that team that had not big minnowed ever before, and they will be very good at it very shortly.
Hey, That's the education, man.
Yeah. But also like just the team aspect of working with Andrew, roomed with the Opens for the last 5 or 6 years, the ups and downs and all that. We never fished a tournament together. You don't know how you're going to work with someone when money's like when the pressure is high and you're, the stress of the moment. Dude, like the first day he was like, it's okay, buddy. Like he calmed me down so much. Like he literally, like I told him at one point, I said, this is where I spin out. And he's like, well, I'm here. We're not going to spin out now. We're good. I said, this is where I would spin out in the Opens. Like I could feel it happening. And he's like, we're good. We'll get the train back on the tracks. Dude, we got 2 hours left. Like you're the best big minnower on this damn lake. You don't think you can catch one? You don't think over the next 6 spots we roll up, you're not going to catch another big one? Give yourself some credit. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And then I did. And he was like, see, I told you.
Yeah, but that's where being honest and open works.
Yeah.
Because he knows your personality, he knows you, he knows your capabilities, so he'll stop you from self-sabotaging. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Anyway, that's the Mexico story. So I drove back. We left at 9. It took us 2.5 hours to get through the border on the way back. I got my bounty back on my truck. I drove all night. Todd Sizer from In Fisherman flew in. We did a show. I was home for literally 4 hours. We drove down to Southwest Arkansas. We did that the last 2 days. I dropped Seisner off at the airport yesterday, drove down to Dallas so I could see my fiance for at least 3 hours before I was gone again.
Hey, you got to keep that thing going, man. You can't ignore that.
Got back at, what time did I say I was just getting back? 7:30.
Yeah.
Fired up the show. As soon as I'm done here, I got to hook up the boat. I got to take care of some business. I'm headed up to Minnesota for my buddy Adam Bartuzek is having his bachelor party, which is not a bachelor party. It's a fishing trip on a lake. I'm going to go Idle Leach for a day and then stop by Omnia on the way back and do a show Tuesday. And then I think I'm back in town for like 3 full days. So.
Okay, so go check your trailer tire.
Yeah, so here's the thing. It's in a little bit. Everything is fine on it. It is going to wear, but the brakes are fine. They're fully bled. I have no noticeable wear on that tire, no noise, nothing on it. It tracks true. It's just slightly in, which I know is going to create wear. I needed new trailer tires in the future. I've got a spare. Oh, I also forgot the day after that happened, I got a flat on the other side, which Joey Cifuentes carries a portable air compressor, and I would highly recommend everybody carry a portable air compressor.
Yeah, I have one of those in my truck. Yep. It's paramount.
Yep.
I have tire repair kits, compressor, all that stuff. The only thing I don't have is a spindle spare.
Which I need to start doing that too. But I think I'm good to take it up to.
You just better stop and you better check it when you fuel up, and you need a spare before you go up there. Knowing that tire is towed a little bit.
Yeah.
You got to have a spare on a rim. Because
I do. It's in the back of the truck, and I've got an impact wrench. I can literally changed it in 3.5 minutes at the boat ramp when I got a tire in it.
All right, good. Well, dude, have fun, man.
We'll see. Yeah, the game last night, dude. I don't think McDavid lets him lose this year. I think if you look before Gretzky went on his run with the Oilers, they actually lost that previous series to the Islanders. And if you've watched the documentary, Gretzky's documentary, when he talks about that, he said they were in the locker room and they were fine. They were young, like the Oilers. You know, McDavid's been in the league 8 years now, but the Islanders were beat up, and he said that was where they realized what they had to do to win cups. It's a rematch against Florida. Florida's already won it. It's been so many decades since a Canadian team won it. I think Oilers in either 5 or 6 here. I mean, they were down 3-1 last night. Came back to win 4-3 in Edmonton, defend the home ice in overtime. Between Draisaitl and McDavid, I think they can overcome maybe a soft goal or two that they'll let in. But I mean, I don't see how they don't put up 3 to 5 goals a night, even against Bobrovsky.
Yeah,
That's my unofficial official breakdown of the Panthers Oilers series.
Hockey Talk Live coming at you.
Yeah. Sean goes, BTL must be paying pretty well. You're always traveling. I will say this, Court is a flight attendant, and I know people all across the country. So when you take advantage of flying standby and friends with spare rooms, makes it a lot
palatable.
Yes, much more palatable. That's the word.
I will help you with the tough stuff.
Yeah. And also some of the Team USA sponsors paid for the lodging down there, a lot of the food down there and all that. I'd pay for a little bit of gas, but
perfect.
Some of that. So
dude, that is outstanding. I love that story.
Yeah, that's the story. I haven't told that story in full, so
now you did.
Did you know that I was on the mountain? Did I tell you I was on the Mountain Duo, guys? I already told you guys that.
Yeah. How did it taste?
It's delicious.
All right,
I'm
well, there you
with
go.
the Baja Cabo citrus now.
There you go.
I also found some really cool bobbers. I don't know why.
Those are.
Dude, I'm so tired. I got so much to do before we leave here.
Oh yeah, man. I can't imagine.
Eat frog legs.
Oh, bastard.
But I mean, anytime. I mean, if a Hall of Famer tells you to tell a story, you tell the damn story.
You got to tell the story. I mean, here, look, I hadn't. The truth of the matter is, since the last episode, I hadn't spoken to you.
Nope, not at all.
Morning, and so I wanted to know. You know what I mean? I was hoping you didn't do this prior.
No, I was saving it. I was saving it for you because a big element of that was the realization that it was rock that was connected, even though it was offshore, way offshore. It was connected to land. Even if it was an island, it was connected to land. It wasn't a hump offshore, which there were plenty of humps offshore that you could literally catch 50 to 100 off of, but they were all 2 to 3 pounds.
Yeah, that'll play later.
Yep.
That plays later. But yeah, dude, that is so impressive. Man.
So get this. They have in September a $50,000 U.S. tournament on Chachillo in Mexico, team tournament. And a couple of the guys on the Mexico team invited us down to fish it.
Damn.
What do you think?
You got to take advantage of it, man.
I know, but just a solo midnight run across the border.
Well, yeah. I mean, no,
dude, they had these taco shops. I tell you about the taco shops. Did I tell you about that on air?
I don't believe.
You go through the town of China, which was like 8 miles from where we were staying, and it's literally, stray dogs, and there's one nice gas station in there, but stray dogs, and then like kind of on the side of the road is one of these like taco shacks where you go in and no air conditioning, dimly lit, one fan in the corner, and then outside the guy has like his wood fire with a slab of mesquite, and you walk in and they speak zero English. There's dogs, stray dogs walking around and stuff. It's right off the road. You say like Trace tacos. And they don't even say anything. She goes, oh, okay. And then you hear a do, and it's the guy using the mesquite block to chop up the carne asada. That's beef, right?
I guess so, yeah.
And then he puts it on the fire, and then, I mean, dude, they were the best tacos I have ever had in my life. There's like an old lady in the back that's making homemade pico de gallo or pico de gallo. So you put that on it, like 5 or 6 different sauces, a refrigerator that you go get your own Tecate or Mexican Coke out of. So the first time we went, I had 5 tacos, and I was like, man, that's good. Everyone orders. So the second time we went, I made a real bad judgment call, and I got 9 tacos.
Oh my God, dude. You're a
and
great
I
boy.
ate all 9 tacos. Mm-hmm. That was after day 1. So I might have been more relaxed on day 2 because I was really focused on something else for the first part of the day.
Oh my gosh. Dude, that is.
Oh, they were like, you can't duplicate them. They're like the best. And all it is just the tortilla and just meat, steak. in it, just chopped up. And then you added the sauce and the pico de gallo and all that on top of it. Like no cheese, no sour cream, none of that crap. Just authentic roadside Mexican taco from deep inside of Mexico.
That's money, dude. That is super. All right. What do you have, a picture of the taco?
No, I do, but dude, it's also impressive. That was the first time that I've actually done like tournaments with those top level. I mean, I fish with all the guys and stuff like that, but when it comes to it, God, their level of confidence in what they're doing, their level of ability to break down water,
that's impressive.
Their expectations for themselves every day on the water is just next level.
Yeah.
And you forget half of them are 22, 23, but just like, you know, hanging out with Joyce Fuentes, Josh Weaver, Scott Canterbury, like it's just a different level of expectation, a deeper understanding of the fundamentals, and
that's
a much faster way to break down water.
Yeah, that's the impressive part. I mean, the whole key is to break down the lake as fast as you can and as accurately as you can. And the fact that you guys did,
You've been trying to wrap up the show for the past 20 minutes. He's noticed that. It's like the phone call where you're going, yep, all right. And then he launches into another segment of it. And you're like, this is the one where you like put it on mute and you look at the guy next to you and you just roll your eyes. And then you're like, oh, yeah, awesome.
No, I'm not trying to end anything.
That's fine.
Like I told you, it's like I told you guys, I've been sick for 3 days and I'm like holding it together. Believe me.
I'll say this. Clay says, got to see Scott Martin squeezing all the info firsthand. Scott he was open about it. He talked to some of the local guys down there, but I will say this. No one works harder that I have ever been around than Scott Martin. That dude's been doing it for forever. He is the first out in the boat working on crap. He stays up the latest working on crap. He asks the most questions. He gets the most stressed out. Scott's been through some tough shit in 2025, Frank.
Oh yeah.
But the one thing
that
I will say is I respect the hell out of his work ethic, especially on and off the water, and the way that those international anglers responded to him. You'd have thought they were meeting the Pope.
Yeah, that's impressive unto itself, honestly. Work ethic is a whole nother level. I remember when I was competing, I was always rigging tackle. I was always in the boat. I was always studying a map. Everything I did was about the lake I was on. I didn't have time for distractions, and you're almost like hyper focused on, you know, you're tunneled in so tight. Like I didn't have time for phone calls. Rach would call and I'd be like, honey, I'll give you 2 minutes. I got to go. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But that's what it takes. I mean, some guys could be a little more laid back about it, but that doesn't mean they're not doing their prep. It's just their approach to it. You know what I mean? But that's what it really takes.
Yep. I do have several of the USA Bass hats like this, the Richardson 112s, so the official USA Bass hats, American flag on the back that Mark is sending to me. So we'll be giving a couple of those away on day 4, which means you should be receiving them by 2027.
That's so funny, dude.
All right, I'll let you go. I know you got stuff to paint.
Oh, please.
What's your update? When's the next paint? People ask that every show. When's the next Frank Scalish? Like, what's coming? Just a loose timeline from the Ohio Bass Fishing Hall of Famer on when we can get our hands on some new colors.
I did do another signature series. It will probably release in the next 4 or 5 months. 4 months. It's a very cool series. I will say that. I've got some limited run stuff done. That'll be coming out soon. There's a lot of baits coming out. I've been like a mad scientist. There's a lot of baits coming out, and they're going to be coming out soon. That's the best I got because I don't really even know.
I like it.
Congratulations,
we had a
Frank. Meeting, thank you. We had a meeting this morning, which I wasn't able to attend because I was on the show. That probably would have given me a little bit more info. Thank you, Matt. Congratulations on you guys too. That's a hell of a performance.
Thank you. I'm exceptionally proud of it.
You should be.
Just like you should be exceptionally proud of being one of the 10 anglers, 10 people inducted into the inaugural class.
I am.
This has been another edition of Day 4 with the man Frank Scalish. Same place, same time next Thursday. And we'll talk to everyone then. See ya.